787.
787 departure frequency time will be 1257.
257, thanks.
All right, we're on. We don't care what... We don't care what bathroom you use here at SciFi And Friends. Boom. Welcome to the new episode. This is actually episode 10, kind of, because as many of you may know, we finally had the Facebook page redone. Kelsey got a beautiful, awesome-looking logo. We're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher. We became very official. And I was posting episodes on the Facebook page for people to download and listen to. And I noticed I don't have an episode 5. I kind of just skipped 5. So I didn't keep track of that very well. So this is like kind of episode 10-9, but I'm just gonna forget the episode 5, and someone make a T-shirt like the missing episode 5 and put the sci-fi.
And then maybe like a memorial episode will have an episode. It is Memorial Day weekend.
Maybe
but
so.
I don't want that kind of pressure.
I'm just gonna skip every 5. When you go to 15, we're gonna skip it. You know, just every time a 5 rolls around, we'll skip.
Well, then I'm sure some 5 activists will come out of the woodwork, and then you're gonna get subpoenaed.
If your favorite number is 5, I'm sorry.
And I'm gonna be a character witness, and I mean, I will sell you out in a heartbeat in a court of law.
The screenplay is being written as we speak.
Number 5. There was that movie a couple years ago named called Number 4, or I Am Number 4.
Yeah, Michael Bay movie.
Salt in theaters, terrible.
Yeah, Michael Bay movie. I remember that. My guest today, many of you know him. He is a recurring guest on the SciFi And Friends podcast. He is one of my best, if not my best friend, colleague, a man of many talents, interests, fascinating gentleman. Welcome, Kaleb Clark.
Applause inserted here. Thank you, everyone. It's awesome to be back. Thank you for having me. I'm just glad I got to come down here because it's not going to be very often that I get to return. So,
I'm going to have to start making some trips northwest.
I would northwest. Perfect.
Northwest.
I would very much enjoy that. That'd be great.
Yes, I need to come up there. The way you guys talk about it, the pictures, you're always driving to work, or you're sitting at your desk with your 50,000 screens, blog posts, YouTube, and then the Adobe program in the right-hand corner.
It's so much fun. I love my job.
So, by this time next week, where will you be?
Well, today's Sunday, correct?
That is correct.
Well, I'll probably be at my house working.
No honeymoon?
Here's the thing with the honeymoon, which, spoiler alert, I'm getting married Saturday. Very happy about it, by the way. Very happy. Very excited. She has her grad school scheduling, and the only opening she could find was, I believe, in the beginning of August. We're going to Jamaica. It's going to be fun.
Nice.
But it worked out well because right now with my job, the pool and patio company in Wichita, right now is our extremely busy season. That was crazy. I heard that. Anyway, it's our extremely busy season, so it actually worked out well with scheduling because by the time we start slowing down, she'll have a free moment and then we can go. I don't have to worry about stuff falling apart as I leave.
So you're going to Jamaica for, a week and a half? 2 years?
Possibly forever. From what I've heard and what she's shown me and the research I've done, it looks extremely, extremely beautiful. And you guys went to Mexico, correct?
Yes, Cozumel.
Nice.
Yes.
Those places, it's always that conundrum you face. You're just like, I want to stay here.
Yeah.
But then you're just like, the novelty wears off.
Have you ever been out of the country?
Nope.
There is a feeling that's hard to describe on the level of when you have a child, that kind of thing. Like, if I were to, I don't know what it's like to have a kid, but people say it's crazy. And I'm sure, I totally agree with it. But you can't project yourself there. The same feeling in that sense, not the euphoria of a kid, having a kid, but the same feeling of indescribable is when you fly in to America from outside the country and you step back on your own home soil. It is an unbelievable feeling.
Really?
Yeah. You just like, I love this fucking place. It's crazy.
I'm never leaving it.
And you don't have any fear of, like, when you're going through customs, you have I didn't have any fear of, like, I'm not getting in, maybe a little bit, but
You do resemble slightly. Anyway.
But you feel like you just feel the power of home, of just the whole continent. And you claim the whole continent too, basically. Or if you're flying,
not just Kansas or Oklahoma. Or
no,
Missouri.
but that those areas are even more charged because like that's where you came from. That's where you spent most of your life. But yeah, there's a big. Just wait when you fly into customs coming back from Jamaica, you'll have a great trip in Jamaica. You'll get really, you'll be happy and then you'll.
That's a applicable way to describe it.
Yes. Tyler and Kaylin went down there for their honeymoon. And they had a great time. It looked awesome.
I look forward to not leaving the resort.
Hey, it's your honeymoon. Do what you want.
Exactly.
I did a sweat lodge.
I
on my
did see
honeymoon.
that.
Oh my god, it was
Like sauna-esque or like even more potent.
it was basically ayahuasca without the ayahuasca. Like we had a shaman guy. We were in a hut. It was just Kelsey and I, and he was really cool. But it was really intense. Like there were 4 sessions, and for some reason, the natives and ancient peoples always have like the number 4 directions, 4 seasons, all that kind of stuff. Right?
Not 5 though.
Not 5. No, not 5. But so like we started out with like thinking the northwest, south, all that. You know, we did like a fire ceremony. He's like putting smoke all over us. It was crazy. Then we go into this hut that's like a brick hut, and we're in the Mexican jungle. Like we're in the heart of Cozumel. We drive out in this Jeep that's like, we're rocking everywhere. And he goes, we call this the Mexican massage, you know, because we were getting thrown around. I'm like, dude, they could just totally kill us both right now and no one would ever find us.
Nope.
We're so deep in the jungle. Just feed me to a jaguar, you know. Those thoughts do go through your head. But
Very, very vulnerable feeling, I imagine.
very vulnerable. Then you get in the damn sweat lodge and it's pitch black and hot as hell. And he has this like a bunch of leaves. There's like eucalyptus, there's mint, and there's a big pot. And he puts it in the pot, it has all these oils, and he slams it on these hot rocks that are flipping hot as shit. And then when he hits, all this steam goes up and then bellows out. And you're just like, oh God. And then he asks you a question like, how are you feeling? You're like, I'm fine.
No talking.
And each time it got harder and harder because it got hotter and hotter. And the 4th time, dude, I was just like teetering back and forth of passing out. Oh my God.
It's like just almost like a suffocation feeling.
Ooh, yes, because the air is so heavy. Like,
Jeez.
dude, the only way that you can get through is just to keep going. You have to keep going. It was
Sink or swim, man.
Oh my God. It was cool though. I would do it again, but I would want to do it with like you or Casey. Kelsey made it 2 rounds and I was like, you need to get out. You're not enjoying this, you know, and
Dude, that wouldn't be good for me. I have terrible cardio. Like I'd be the first one, but it's like I haven't even thrown the stuff on the rocks yet and he's already laying on the ground. What's wrong with him?
Well, yeah, that's like a technique. If it gets too hot, just like lay back on your back and then take deep breaths because all the heat goes to the ceiling. So there's like this thin, like 8-inch layer of nice, cool air. And the only way to get to it is go to your back. And it's pitch black.
I would happily go to
pitch black. All you can hear is voices.
I mean, I could see how that could be a little trippy.
Oh, very trippy.
Slightly.
Yeah. Anyway, if there's something like that in Jamaica, I recommend it. But send Courtney to the spa when you do it. You know, just, hey, I'm going to go out into the jungle and do a sweat lodge. You're going to go to the spa and get a massage. Because I still feel bad for dragging Kelsey into the middle of the jungle.
I just don't feel bad. Well, at least you're honest. You're honest.
Yes,
That's good. I probably won't do that.
No problem. I don't know what there's to
wait
do in
for
Jamaica.
Because with you, at least I can look over and be like, oh, yeah, he wants to bitch out too.
No, it's pitch black.
and then it's I'll just feel your face. Like, yep, he has that feeling.
Is that sweat or is that tears?
Is that even Colton?
Oh man, yeah. I was like looking around when it's light because the only light's sunlight, and they put blankets in front of the door, like these Mexican blankets, so it blocks all light. But when the light was coming in, like I'm inspecting everything. Is there any trap doors? Anyone gonna like drop in and fucking kill us both? But it turned out well.
It kind of sounds like almost sensory deprivation minus like the touch and this like feeling sensation. Like you're still sitting upright, but like once you like come out and like you fresh air and light, it's almost like a rebirth.
It is a rebirth. Yeah, you can definitely see it like that. Yeah, most of it was just
what were your thoughts like?
Severe uncomfortable, just being so uncomfortable.
Did you ever just like try to embrace it, or did you?
You had
like,
to.
Like, what were your thoughts like?
Oh, you had to embrace it. I wasn't bitching out. For one, I'm paying for this. It cost me like 400 pesos. I don't remember, but it was, it was a hefty price. So I'm not bitching out because I paid for it already. Mm-hmm. Plus, I just want to get the whole experience. So I'm not. I mean, I have to pass out before I'm going out.
So you're just like the locals do it. I can do it.
Yeah. Well, the guy that did it, he was just like this real scrawny guy, just kind of like goofy character. I'm like, okay, if you can do it, I'm gonna go through with it. But it was hard, and the last session was just me and him in there, and we both like crawl out. And Kelsey was like, "Yeah, you both looked like you wanted out of there." Yeah, it is a sensory deprivation in a way, just with the additional severe uncomfortableness.
And what is life without suffering?
I mean, it made the jungle breeze feel really nice. But
Perspective lending,
yes,
huh?
it was interesting. So your job? You just graduated Pitt State with a marketing degree, right?
Incorrect. Close. A marketing minor in my major, because Pitt's communication department is so minuscule, I guess, compared to others. That still quality, great quality department. It's just we have an overall all-encompassing communication emphasis, communication degree, and then the emphasis areas are advertising, journalism, broadcasting, all that stuff. And then, so basically, that's like my diploma is like longer than it should be. It's Bachelor of Science in Communication with an emphasis in advertising and a minor in marketing, which is a freaking just mouthful. When you're just like, "Hi, I'm Kaleb Clark. I'm communication." They're just like, "Come on, you're rambling."
All I heard was Kaleb Clark.
Exactly.
That's cool. And then you got a job. You got an internship. What, last summer?
I got an internship last summer with actually a former PSU grad. I worked in downtown Wichita with a digital marketing firm that had just kind of transitioned over into the new medium and the online focus of marketing and advertising, and instead of just the traditional. They used to be media buyers, print, television, radio ads, and then I caught them right in the transition of moving to digital, and it was one of the most beneficial things I've probably done career-wise, or at least for career advancement, because that stuff still really hasn't made it to, I guess, a college classroom, maybe in this region, maybe other universities that are more, I guess, coastal or more, I guess, near population hubs, or at least in the industry, they have the programs that teach this more. But as far as Pitt State goes, I mean, I had a social media marketing class my last semester. I mean, this last half year, and it was the first social media marketing class they've ever had.
Oh, wow.
So, it was beneficial. I mean, a lot of the stuff was kind of redundant, but also it's great review if you treat it as such. But I think, especially where everything's going, a lot of companies are trying to transition to digital. So having an entire summer of digital training and knowing all the jargon, knowing how to implement it, how to execute it, when to change, when not to change, when to give it a little more time. It's just small things like that whenever I walk into a job interview, or when I walked into job interviews, it was very easy for me to convey that and articulate it. And you can just see people who are looking for somebody who can do that, who are not used to somebody who can do that. Their eyes get wide, and they're just like, oh, well, this guy's very qualified.
Right.
And if I hadn't done that, I really honestly feel like I wouldn't have the job I have now. So all of you out there considering internships, do it. Even mine was unpaid, but
right
now it's the investment's paying off in the end.
I don't think it's just Pitt. I don't think it's just the Midwest. I think it's the whole world that's trying to figure out this new media. Because when I was in California, some of the first jobs that I had were for internet stuff. We did like Jack Link's commercials. There were these were promo videos, but they had the budget of a real TV commercial. And the people in the industry kind of look down on them in a way, like, oh, they call it new media. You're doing new media stuff. Yeah, everyone was doing new media stuff. Suddenly, it's like that. I mean, I work for Defy Media. That's a completely internet company.
Yeah.
The YouTube channel and website and all that. Yeah.
That's the future.
Yes, that is
Or
the
actually,
future.
I'm sorry, it's now.
Yeah, basically.
And I'll tell you why everyone in the industry looks down on it, because that's taking money from their pockets. Actually, what I discussed last time was, what we discussed a couple days ago with the content studios, with
Yes.
PepsiCo moving completely in-house and pretty much building a Hollywood-esque type studio
Right.
that has writers, producers, actors, editors, photographers,
Right.
copywriters all on staff, and not only in the long run but also in the short term, you're looking at any content they produce, whether it's for you, whether it's not really fitting. I mean, they can just go out and shoot some stock footage, throw some editing in there, maybe some animation, and then they can sell it to the highest bidder. So you're seeing an immediate return on investment, and then these people are embedded in the company. They know the company. They know what the strategy is. They know what the end goals are. They know what products are trying to market, services are trying to market. It's great for immediate like PR disasters. I mean, you can immediately hop on there, put up video, say, "Hey, we're sorry we did this," or whatever. Just worst case scenario type stuff. And I mean, in a sense, like an emergency like that, they're always on call anyway. I mean, you'd be like, to the studio now. And then, boom, you can do it in 15, 30 hour.
Right.
And publish it, and it's done. Instead of having to call an agency, a PR company, and go, around the whole freaking, I guess, parking lot of just stops you have to make. Parking lot, I was thinking. KC Stadium here. And instead, you're saving money on one, media buying, because if it's online, hey, your social media, your website, for the most part, either free or not even a slight comparison to the charges you're going to face when you're looking at an agency. And that's why ad agencies are like, oh, you're going to go and do that. They call it like amateurism as far as that. Well, these are professionals, most of them freelance, that are coming together and more of, it's an agency feel, but you still have that company overlay. Right. That it honestly, to me, it's amazing that it's taken this long to implement. And I think you look at it like a case study like Red Bull and what they do with all their content. I mean, all those guys that shoot that, they're not like freelancers. They just pick up. No, those are guys that work in-house, videographers, editors, producers, all the actors. I mean, with their contractual obligations with certain athletes, all they have to do is fly the athlete in for however long they need to shoot him with, and it's done.
I just shot a thing for Red Bull the other day for Pitt State, the little mini moto, and the way that they are going to pay me is through like a vendor type option. Yeah. So I just upload my payment plan and they send me a thing. It was a one day to work. I ran around with cameras and trying to get run over by little mini moto bikes. Yeah. So in a way, what you're saying is anyone can become a cinematographer or a graphic designer within these little hubs. And I think one of the reasons that people call it amateurism, because it kind of is amateur in a way, because people don't have the experience. A lot of those people, especially in California that I noticed, they had paid the price. They had been in the industry. They had rubbed the right backs. They had done the right jobs. They had made the right choices. And they were at a high level, getting paid high dollars. And then for something to come in like this new media where kids, these millennials who dad bought them a camera, now they're a cinematographer, which was all over the place.
Sounds familiar.
Sounds very familiar. I'll claim that title. Thank you, Dad. But they kind of feel disrespected because they had put the time in. They were, I don't know if I want to say a true DP, but they were. They've been around the film cameras. They were there from the film to the transition to digital. And in a way, I agree with them, but in another way, it's the way of the world.
Well, from that perspective, yes. The opposite perspective on that, you mean bitter, yeah, but the way I see it is being in the industry and seeing the transition take place. And there's data, there's stats on all of this as far as what brings in money, what is going to take place in 5, 10, 15 years, next month even. And for them to, just put a veil over their eyes and just deny it or be in denial about it or not take the initiative to transition themselves or at least make themselves qualifiable in that field, honestly, to me, is just that's them not being responsible.
Right.
Not them taking responsible for their career.
Yeah.
If you're not taking the time to learn independently, to research, to understand pop culture, and I mean, some trends are unforeseeable, but some things you can see coming.
Right.
And it's just, I mean, a basic understanding of fundamental, elementary, like conceptualized understanding of I mean, just digital marketing as far as search engine optimization, which is still huge.
Right.
Your email stuff, and that's been around forever. And I mean,
20 years.
Basic writing skills as far as persuasion and then technical writing, videography, photography, and then mobile, which I read a stat the other day, 85% of Google searches now take place on a mobile.
Wow.
And I'm in the process of currently teaching myself HTML5, which helps with website design, but more applicable for me is the fact that when you are, I mean, even down to your photos on your website, to any copy you write, to making it search engine optimizable, if that's even a word.
I agree. Optimized.
Whatever conjugate of that verb you want
Yes.
to use. Down to the rich text, meta tags, schema markups, just mumbo jumbo to anybody who doesn't know what it is. That's the stuff that makes Google so user friendly as to when I type in hours for a store, instead of having to go through results on top of the page, which is I think they call the knowledge universe or something along the lines of Google. That's what sends the bots through all the information in nanoseconds, and then boom, you see that store, nearest locations, and then right there, store hours for the day you're looking for. Instead of having to just see 10 results and then click on the pages and find them yourselves. Stuff like that is what, one, you get a higher CTR, which is click-through rate, which leads to more conversions. As far as customers in-store, customers purchasing in-store, or customers online being linked back to your e-commerce site for what products you're looking for. It's just, it's getting down to like a very micro scale on all of it that, you know, I could write that rich text, but is it really that important on this photo? Well, if it leads to a conversion, taking 5 minutes to do it is not going to be difficult, if even 5 minutes.
Right.
It's just sitting down and going through kind of the monotonous cadence to it. And it's, I mean, that's the point that marketing and advertising have gotten to, where you have to wear 6-7 different hats. And if you don't, you're obsolete.
Right.
You're expired. I mean, you're not qualifiable for any position. So for them, I would say, well, maybe you should have took responsibility for your career, for your talents, and what you love to do. Because if a millennial kid doesn't mind doing the work when he could be out playing sports, messing around, drinking, whatever, at college, whatever, for them to take the responsibility and not you, sorry.
Yeah. And everything is changing so quickly that a lot of those guys that are, you know, DPs for 10 years or whatever, and they go, no, this is the way it's going to be. Like, I'm thinking of Tarantino. Have you ever seen the documentary Side by Side?
I have not.
It's a great documentary. It's actually Keanu Reeves directed it, and it's just it's on Netflix. It's just the transition from film to digital, and then he just has people talk about their views and perceptions on why film is better than digital, and et cetera, et cetera. And maybe at one point, film was better than digital. Not anymore. Not with the Dragon. No. Not with the what's the new one? The weapon, the red weapon, shooting 8K. You know, and
which I believe Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is the first movie that's going to be shot in that.
I bet that's a nightmare for that
distributed. I bet it. I can only imagine the amount of external memory and hard drive they have.
Terabytes and terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of footage. Plus, the computers.
Scares me to think about.
I mean, okay, we've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. How much of that was CGI? Massive amounts of CGI. That is terabytes and terabytes and terabytes of information. So the computers that they're running to make that movie. Oh man, there's going to be some awesome behind the scenes, awesome documentaries in the next year or so, just about the making of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, because it is so massive.
I mean, and yeah, that's insane in itself with the CGI. And then I think of a movie like a trilogy of the timeline of like The Hobbit,
Right.
And how, and I mean, even that, the production of it was insane.
Oh yeah.
But imagine now in 8K, the editing process, the planning around shooting and having the, oh my gosh.
Yes. And it's all leading to VR and AR, kind of what I would probably guess, minus any unforeseen technology advancements, but what I would guess would be the AR and VR taking over, in the sense of, if you have a movie that's shot in 8K, it's going to look beautiful, but it's condensed to one screen that's 1:35 ratio or whatever it is, you know, right? So you add in all that digital information and increase it to the size of a GTA, slap your goggles on, and now you're living in a world where it's hard to distinguish between reality and the digital world. And it happens to me on the MMO. I play Ark.
Yeah.
And sometimes there'll be an ant crawling on the screen, and I'm like, is that real? Okay, it's just an ant. It's just an ant. And that's a pretty cartoonish looking game. The graphics are awesome, but I can tell it's a game. Now let's increase to undistinguishable resolution. I don't know, it's crazy. But the amount of data that will go into that, the amount of data that would be required to have an AR of, say, Courtney. She films herself and she goes, hey Caleb, good morning, coffee's on the table. I went to Walmart to pick up some groceries. Just because you saw a photo of her, you clicked your AR goggles and that video comes up, almost like a Harry Potter type world.
Maybe hologramic just a little bit?
Yeah, it would be just like you and me talking right now, but it's just a recording. And you could hide those recordings within the whole world. So, and this plays into marketing. And this plays into, you probably have a word for it, but
Guerrilla marketing.
Guerrilla marketing, but individual marketing, in the sense, I don't know the term, but in the sense of...
isolated self-targeted.
Probably, yeah, isolated self-targeting marketing. Man, that's a lot.
They throw them back and forth, right. Isolated or self-targeted.
Right. So let's just say it's the early days of AR. So everyone's wearing glasses. They're small. They're Google Glass, but they're as ubiquitous as iPhones. Nobody cares. No one's like, oh, you got glasses on your face. No, it's.
I don't think the demographic you just portrayed will ever be able to afford Google Glasses.
Well, yeah. Well, let's make it mandatory.
Let's make it mandatory.
Mark of the beast. But anyway, so back to this isolated marketing.
We call that subliminal.
So you have your Google Glass, your AR goggles on, and say you and I are walking through the mall. Right now, the mall is static. It's 2D. It's posters. It's printed material. No problem. Whatever. But the rate that ad will get someone, pretty low. It's there, but pretty low, because there's so many demographics walking by. An ad that gets me because it's football doesn't get you because you're baseball, just for example, or totally bypasses my mom. And this happens to me when I watch TV and I see a commercial that's not meant for me. I'm like, oh my God, that commercial sucked. It was for tampons. It wasn't for you. We're not marketing to you,
Colton.
Colton.
Should have been watching that show.
Yeah, well, The Bachelor's a really good show. I really enjoy it. But,
not you too.
Oh, fuck no. Total joke. But we go back to the isolation. You have the AR goggles on. Now we just have a blank canvas, a poster board outside the store. Let's say it's a sports store. And your little chip in your goggles has information on your search history, your Facebook profiles, your social media profiles, and they go, ooh.
Your Amazon cart.
Ooh, Kaleb Clark. He's a big Kansas City Royals fan. Now they're advertising everything Kansas City Royals on that blank thing. But for me, I'm a big Ravens fan. So I'm seeing a Ravens helmet. I'm seeing a Ravens jersey. You're seeing a Royals hat, signed baseball, all in the same store.
All the inventory.
But it's
personalized.
Exactly. That is what's coming.
And it's funny you mentioned just the fact that we're walking past these posters, and it's funny now because, I mean, graphic designers or the marketers themselves, they're spending a lot of time in simply designing those. And it's so, I mean, we do it at our store too, but I mean, we're more in store. It's the difference between like a mall setting and a storefront. But still same capacity. It's the old adage, what's the last thing the fish is going to notice? It's the water. When you're so just, it's almost unfathomable the amount of advertisements we see a day.
Right.
With our cell phones on us constantly, with our laptops, with a TV, with Netflix,
radio,
and it never ends. It never ends. We're basically walking around in a perpetual state of being sold to, either interruption based or our own permission based. We are being marketed to, and that's just human nature in itself.
Right.
Say, hey, you need this, I have it, so then I can make currency, and then I can go get stuff that I want, and it's just, it never ends.
And it's also, sorry to interrupt, but it's also even deeper than that in the sense of...
Oh, we'll get to deeper stuff later.
In the sense of, not only are they trying to sell you products, they're trying to sell you behavior. They're trying to sell you lifestyles. Do you want to be James Bond? This is how James Bond dresses. This is how he acts. This is how he talks to girls. This is what car he drives. And then, if so-and-so pull up an Aston Martin DB9, my perception of them is definitely going to change if they pull up in a Geo or something.
And I'll even reference, because I've been reading The Godfather.
Yes.
Sad God.
Yes.
Sad God.
Sad God.
I can't pronounce his
Gad,
name like Joe does. His book... yeah, you have it over there. I have it on the
Consuming Instinct.
Yeah, Consuming Instinct. He references whatever you happen to believe. Yes, the Consuming Instinct, what juicy burgers, Ferraris, pornography, and gift giving reveal about human nature. Gad's awesome. Listening to him on Joe. I mean, regardless of his religious or non-religious affiliations, his evolutionary stance. It's so it just breaks it down to almost like we talked about yesterday, like the reptilian brain, and just our basic fundamental needs as far as our biological beings go. And I mean, it's to reproduce, to be appealing to the opposite sex, or whatever sex you prefer. And to find a mate, to be happy, to live this joyous life of fulfillment and contentment, and again, that's a lifestyle. And we achieve those values in that value system. We achieve those through status, through luxury. I mean, I don't know who. I mean, you ask anyone, with the exception of maybe monks, but even they can't deny that basic gene instinct. To it's like. Would you drive this car if you had a choice, or this car? No questions asked.
Right.
What are they going to pick? They can't describe why this car and its design and its title seems more appealing. All they know is that it feels like it should.
Right.
And it's like you said, it's almost unexplainable. It's almost just it's like from your loins almost. It's just like, oh, that seemed like the right decision. And that's just instinctual. So. Kind of reverting back to it now, it's side tangent there. Nice little Gad. If you're listening to this, unlikely.
Come on the SciFi And Friends podcast.
Yeah, please do. And watch him just absolutely. We're just sitting here just taking notes the whole time.
I'd be okay with that.
But I mean, again, as far as we're just the constant flow of advertising, we walk around in a constant state of it. We're always being sold to. But then also it's back to your VR with just the blank poster, which. It's you're right on it. It is coming at some point, and
some form of that,
and
whatever it may be.
And as they develop augmented and virtual, and we get these glasses or whatever technology that's going to be used with contact lens glass, you never know. Probably glass first, I'm sure.
Maybe, but just think about 3D TVs. You needed glasses, now you don't. Maybe AR is just going to show up. No glasses needed.
Terrifying.
Maybe it's powered by everyone's phone, like a cloud computing. Sorry to interrupt, but
no, I mean it's people need to know this stuff. Who are either, I guess, choicefully ignorant to it, or just or they're just set in their ways, which again parallels with your modern ad execs who've been doing it since the 50s and 60s, back in the good old days with your gentlemen's clubs, and when it was a different time, different medium, different.
There was Sony, there was MGM, there was Universal, and Warner Brothers, and that's what we went through. And to get your thing made, you had to go through the big cigar toting mogul. I would say still exists to a certain level, you know.
but slowly dissipating.
Slowly,
because
absolutely.
companies because some of those companies, as you can see in their yearly returns, they're keeping their head above water.
Mm-hmm.
The CEOs, he's set for life anyway. But I mean, they're just trying to keep clients as they keep whittling away
Right.
to companies that have embraced the millennial mindset, embraced the new media, and have just skyrocketed this company's ROI and customer experience, and they're getting positive feedback, and they're all over the internet. They're all over TV and stuff still. Because I mean, with ROI, your budget can increase, and you can just keep on keeping on. And then you see these different mergers and companies either trying to add something new to their repertoire that they can offer their clients or a new client base, and it's just and again, I think I said it last time, but it's one of those things that it's their responsibility to stay current, because if they don't check the news every day, they aren't getting emails from certain publications, or just doing their own independent research, the entire paradigm can shift in a day.
At one moment,
and everything
moment.
you've learned can be just poof,
turn
gone.
around opposite. What worked yesterday.
Think of Google just deleting Facebook, deleting certain applications. I believe it was Facebook articles that a couple months ago that shut down. People had blog posts on those. They were sharing articles. They were running businesses through those. Not those alone, but they were using them. And they were benefiting them. And if you scroll down to Google's terms of use and service, says any applications, anything we develop may be deleted at any time without your prior notice. People woke up one day and it was no longer there.
Applications of what? Like, what was the application?
Just, I'm sorry, not Google. Facebook is one. And I don't believe, Google's transitioned things, and they started that once they moved to the parent company of Alphabet. But no, Facebook news articles, just one day, it just no longer was an app. It just no longer was a navigationable icon. Like it was gone.
Right.
Developers went in and just,
we don't need that anymore.
locked it up.
Right.
No, there was no transition. There was no, hey, your content can be found here now. No, it was just gone. And people were mad.
Those terms of agreement.
We won't bring up the South Park episode again, please.
We all know it.
Yes, don't. It's funny, but anyway, another side tangent there. It's just, not only are those just blank posters in the mall, the billboards, any outdoor. We're going to have the what do you call those little imprint codes? I can't think of them.
Oh, like QPCR codes or QR.
That sounds right.
Something like that.
QR sounds right.
Yeah.
Or like with the glasses, no longer on your phone.
Yep.
You're flipping through a magazine or reading it on a tablet. Those things it's going to be like the augmented reality on TV shows where they slide in those little, hey, tune in next week to this, and you see the little characters come out, and it's that subliminal nature of it that as far as a TV show goes, when you see that, you're not like concerned with the advertising of it. You're not concerned with being interrupted because the show's still there, and that's where everything becomes native and everything is fitted for the interface and the platform it's on. Right. So like cross-device stuff, you have mobile, tablet, different computer designs. Because I work on different on different brands. Things can look a whole lot different. And learn that the hard way. Which is why you have to go in and customize it for each one. That's making it native. And native is the new front, new wave coming in. And it goes the same with television and radio, which is more difficult, extremely. But it's basically, if you see like Instagram, for example, they have redone their entire Southeast Kansas, redone their entire algorithm to benefit more advertisers, small businesses that are willing to pay to have their advertisements appear just like anybody else's picture, photo on there. Right. And
talking Twitter, those little sponsored tweets that have the tiny little X in the corner.
Yeah, sponsored tweets. Facebook did it a long time ago, and it's just now catching on because, hey, who owns Instagram? Facebook. Yeah.
2 billion, right? 4 billion?
Instagram was almost at 400 million.
No, I think it was billion.
No, Facebook maybe. Instagram is sitting around 400 or almost 400 million active users.
Oh, no. I meant that Facebook bought Instagram.
Oh, the price.
Yeah.
The price.
I'm pretty sure it's like 2 billion.
Insane.
Yeah, 1 billion. 1 billion. Facebook buys Instagram for 1 billion. $1 billion. You know what else Facebook bought? Oculus Rift.
Yeah.
I don't know what they're going to do with that, but they locked it down.
Everyone has a guess, has a hypothesis on that, and
Which would be what for the marketing world?
For just strictly VR purposes?
Mm-hmm. Well, for Facebook, why would $2 billion for the Oculus Rift?
Well, I'm sure that with the introduction of the 360-degree videos, which I actually shared a video from, I believe it was Hugo Boss, which is like kind of a Europe-based like fashion, men's and women's fashion. It's up there with like Ralph Lauren and stuff for just a European equivalent. And they had a commercial shoot, and they had a 360 degree camera set up in the corner of this like top of this office building, with, like the skyline in the background. And it was just them shooting a commercial. And you saw the camera crew with the grips and the sound guys. And you saw the actor just kind of like walking around. They were just getting kind of B-roll footage of him walking and like sauntering around in his Hugo Boss attire. And I watched that thing for much longer than I intended. Because one, it was a very novel thing because most people don't get to see the behind the scenes. I mean, you can go on YouTube and look it up, but the average person who's not interested in film, not interested in stuff, they're never searching for it. But anybody who wears Hugo Boss and sees, hey, 360 camera, and they watch it and they go, that's how they do it. And then when they see that advertisement, they automatically feel this sense of, oh, just like people see behind the scenes stuff of movies or anything else, they immediately respond to that. They go, oh, I watched that. Yeah. I watched them make that. That's crazy. And it helps with the recall. And also it's just user experience. It's so cool to grab your phone and just like watch a video and be able to go all the way around with it. You just
physically moving your phone. You've moved them video. Yes.
And then when it's still practically new. It's to the point where people are like, dude, did you see this? Yeah. And they're showing everybody. Well, that's word of mouth. That's ambassadorial advocation, advertising. It's simple. It's one-on-one, one on a group. Say, you guys seen this? Yeah. And it's stuff like that boom, that automatically makes their brand cooler, more hip, and just helps them transition in the minds of millennials, Generation Z's coming up, and that generation, I don't even know, because like that's as the paradigm shifts. I have to take responsibility for me learning and staying current while they change the world. Yeah. And that's just passing the torch down in a sense. So VR and Oculus Rift would, I almost would say, like, people would never leave Facebook. It would be almost this
logged in 24 hours
like
a day. Addiction
rated thing, and it would change the television game, because television would have to just play catch up. Yeah. Their budgets would have to decrease. People would continue to go there, especially when you have on-demand stuff at the drop of a hat. That's much more easy to use, much more readily available,
and tuned specifically to you.
Again, back to the isolation of the advertising, and people want that. People don't want to see stuff that you don't want to see tampon commercials. No. I don't want to see commercials for. I don't want to see Larry the Cable Guy for Cialis. I don't want to see that. I don't care how bad of heartburn I may have. Yep. I don't want to see him. Yes. And now I won't.
No, you won't.
I'll get to see advertisements for clothes that I've purchased before, items I've purchased before, items that are in my Amazon cart, in like any mobile e-commerce platform I'm logged into, anything in that cart. I'm seeing that going, hey, forget about me. Yep. You know? And you're seeing it now. Everyone's seeing it now on their Facebook, on their Instagrams, and that's part of the algorithm. You know? And but it looks native. There's nothing that screams advertising about this. It's just like a friendly reminder from Amazon.
So like a little blinking light. Just caught your attention, but we're not going to steal your attention. You know, just over here. Hey.
And it's different from that perspective, because I pushed a button. I exerted effort to put that thing in my cart so I didn't forget about it.
Right.
And now they're just trying to help.
Right.
And automatically you feel indebted to Amazon. Maybe I should buy that. And it's just coming down. The basis of it, you hit the nail on the head, is that everything is going to be one-on-one.
Yes.
Isolated, targeted, retargeted, remarketed, whatever you want to call it, back to you. And you say search history, and we added in the cart, but what about now geographics?
Oh yeah.
Adding that stuff in with all of the geographic technology we have now, Google Maps and Earth and all of that stuff.
Right.
Well, now we have all these companies. I would venture to guess in year, 2 years, a company to show up, the farther you're either, like say you're at a 35-mile radius on the map, just that's your standard when you're on whatever. And I think you'll be able to scroll, or as far as you are out, will cost more money for your company to show up when you search something.
Oh yeah.
Before you scroll in.
Okay. Right.
Highest bidder.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Google. It's the same with Google adding in they're adding in home services, which I spoke about on Trent Kling's retail podcast. Highly recommend. But Google Home Services is kind of this still like beta version of development where they're taking a portion of the workforce, a portion of products and services, mostly services, that rely more on less a UPS guy and more someone with a trade. So you're looking at people who are plumbers, electricians, contractors, which will affect Colin and Crossland for sure when it takes full effect. And they've actually run a trial version of it in San Francisco with great results. Wow. And their whole premise on this is, one, it's an alternative platform. I believe it'll be a tab on Google's homepage where you click on it when you're looking for a specific service, and it'll be mobile friendly. It'll be easy to use. We ran through the beta version of it. It's crazy because we contract out pools and it affects us in a certain way. But say your lights, or say you're installing a new light. Don't know about you. Don't know a darn thing about electricity. Wiring would likely wind up in the hospital. Right. I don't want hospital bills. Nope. I don't want to pay.
No pain. I don't want pain.
Exactly.
From electricity.
So I'm not gonna watch a YouTube tutorial and learn how to do that. Right. Time is money. Yep. Time is precious. It's a commodity on its own, and convenience wins out in the end. And that's also the basis. Convenience and isolation are two pillars that the new media is built on. So instead of learning myself or doing whatever else, I'm going to go to Google Home Services. Why? Because they're reputable and they're an authority in the market. And Google has crossed its T's, dotted its I's. They have partnered with the Better Business Bureau. And if your company is unlicensed, which is still a big issue with companies showing up, small businesses showing up to do work, taking your money and never finishing the job.
Oh, right. From them again. Especially construction.
So exactly.
Or trades, like we're saying.
Exactly. So if you have any negative reviews that have not been resolved, if you have any licenses that are expired, if your workers are not insured, if your workers are not from this country, or I guess legal residents of this country, I'll re-say that. I mean, just going through the laundry list of all these things, right? That
could be red flags
because Google does not want to send their customers to a page for a service to help them find a service, and then that customer have a bad experience, negative review, and you never know which negative review, which instance of whatever this might go viral, and that's again a PR crisis in itself.
Headshot.
Exactly.
That's a lot like Yelp.
So and see that they're partnering also with Yelp, Angie's List, all of these companies that do reviews. They want them. Right. They say, give them to us. We have assembled a third party to keep track of all this and manage it when we do it. And as far as that, I mean, and on that, it's not going to be search engine optimization. It's going to be strictly pay per click. If you want to show up, you're going to pay. Money, convenience. In a sense, everyone wins.
It kind of weeds out the people that if you're just, Johnny Two Shoes and you have a hammer and you go, oh, I do roofing.
You won't even show up in this.
You won't show up because for one, you can't pay enough to show up. Two, you probably don't.
No, you could pay $1 million and they won't even let you in
because you're not certified and all the insurance and everything.
You're gonna have to do that.
Right. So how easy would it be? Google, I need my toilet's messed up. Blah blah. I Google it. I have a plumber over in 10 minutes. That's Google certified. I like Google. I use Google all the time.
The name speaks to everyone.
Yeah, his reviews are great. He has and they're not like
his price range is in to the point where you can customize your search details for price range.
Right.
Times available to do it, closest geographically, what other services that provide, hourly rate, whatever they do, and then hit search, and
here he comes.
You get a top 3.
Right.
But it's not logos. It's which also you're gonna have to see a new media with tradespeople. It's gonna show a face.
That's what I was gonna say.
Of the person doing it.
Reminds me of Uber. Uber changed the game that way. Where when I
was surprised they hadn't changed it sooner.
I think they started that way, right? Where when you get confirmed by your driver, a picture shows up. So like,
was that in the beginning?
I don't know, but every time I've used it, it's a picture.
Okay.
Yeah, it has a picture of their car, which is usually a stock photo, but it gives you an idea of what to look for, color, make, all that kind of stuff, and then a picture of your driver with his name. Like it just comes up. Johnny is coming with a red Escalade. He's 4 minutes away or whatever.
Yep.
So there were times where you would get someone to come pick you up, and you would see their picture and say, "No fucking way!
I don't want them.
No fucking way!" And they're probably a nice gentleman or a nice lady.
Cancel.
Yeah. So in a way, it's like a self-regulating system, to where you may be a badass plumber, but your picture, your LinkedIn photo, just it's not receiving well by people. So you get bypassed and pushed down the list, and you lose your work.
And you lose money, and money's a living. And we'll see, even that's going down to companies. I forget which one it was. One company was only hiring people with certain bone structures.
Interesting.
Or I believe it was women with only
certain bone
structures. In a way, but it's still kind of it's that kind of limbo. It's like, what do you qualify as this? And as soon as they put a definition to it, that's when it becomes discrimination. So as long as it's ambiguous in its wording and it's very technical and just legal jargon protecting you, it's one of those things that
the whole world is going through this. I feel like especially America right now. We have this transgender issue with the bathroom usage. That is I don't want to say it's a big topic, but it is. It's like a topic to where, we kind of need to think about this.
It's enough that everybody in even small towns is saying, did you hear about this? Right.
But that splintering of the definition, like we just talked about, where a company can't hire you or fire you or not hire you based on religion, race, skin color, etc., but can hire you based on biological factors such as bone structure, because it's like outside the loop. These are the questions that we have to start asking ourselves and just having conversation with, at least. But the paradigm is shifting, and then the paradigm shifts again, and then it shifts within the shift, and then it fractals out here, and it takes a lot of energy for people. So the older generation may not have that much energy.
Apathy.
Yes. So, but it takes a lot of energy to continually ask yourself, like, what bathroom am I going to use? But we have to talk about these issues because of where we are headed with the internet, with the information, with the data that we're gathering. It's all working together in some crazy force tornado thing of information and progression and evolution. And it's great, but it's getting so fast and so turbulent,
heavy and saturated.
You can only focus on so much. I'll scroll through my Facebook and I'll see SpaceX is landing rockets. I'm like, I want to go study rockets, and then CRISPR, they're editing gene data. Like, oh, I want to edit some genomes, but you can't. You just, you pick one, maybe two, probably one, and that's it.
And you focus.
You let the other people who are passionate about that do their thing and be inspired by them. You can't do it all. There's not enough time. There's not enough energy. There's not enough resources for you to do everything.
And then you scroll through a picture of our planet in relation to the universe, even our galaxy, and the stars we can see at night. And none of it really seems important anymore. You're just like, you know what? Why am I even reading this?
In a way.
But then it's again, it's biological. We do what we do because that's the way we've always done it, and tradition usually wins out until you see a population that has something drastic happen, whether it's technology, whether it's an asteroid, whatever. Yeah. The evolution, in the sense of the word, comes along. The adaptation for Tucker.
Right. Love you, Tucker.
He's not listening, I guarantee you. The adaptation for Tucker, it's inevitable. And the more you resist, and the more you fight the flow, per se, the farther downstream you're going to go. I guess that's a poor metaphor. Because you're wanting to go downstream. You need to quit fighting it.
Do you?
You're going to go farther downstream.
Right.
Maybe, swim at an angle. I don't know. Per the metaphor, but that's just it. Just takes us back to the parallel with the ad execs who are just set in their old ways. They have their money and they don't want to change. Right. That's going to take a sizable investment.
Right.
And they're going to have to train all their employees and do all this stuff. It's just, and it's a universal kind of thing. You see this in third world countries that are having to develop, but then you have dictators and they're too fearful to truly change, and they just say, well, we're happy with what we're doing, or being under control. And any example you bring up, there's change present, there's always resistance, and that fact alone is universal in from the smallest particle to the largest star in the universe that I know of. Right.
But as far as the communication, I think all avenues need to be left open, because I think our generation has a couple problems, a few, but the two that stand out a lot is the love of progression and seeing that progression is good. I don't think it's always good. I think you could fall off the cliff at some point. And two is reductionism, where we bleed everything down to one basic unit. Psychology does this a lot. Biology will do this. They'll say, you are Homo sapien, right? Well, not really. You're just a bunch of clump of cells. Well, not really. You're just a bunch of elements put together. Well, not really. You're atoms, right? You can just keep going down and down and down, and they kind of strip meaning from you. And I don't entirely agree with that. I know you
want just enough meaning to be happy with what you're doing and leaving your mark for whoever else comes along, but also you don't want to get to that point where it's just, I don't know how to say it.
You don't want to come to a point where you're in denial of death, where you're on your way out. We're all on our way out, but you can't be in a denial to where you don't embrace this life and don't accept inspiration and have goals and dreams and hopes and love to go to the existential side of nihilism or the Ecclesiastes in the Bible, which is where we're all dead. It's all multiplied by zero. What's it good for? The balance is there, and I think that's the age that we're moving into, is the age of balance. It's no longer ones and zeros or one or zero, on or off, death or life. It's a quantum universe, and probably all of this definition of transgender, what am I doing with my life, how many stars are out there, everything that's going on is being rebooted and reshifted and rethought of through the eyes of quantum physics, quantum science, to where you have both. The answer can be both. That doesn't work well for modern day humans, because we like right or left, white or black,
good or evil,
which are important too. The balance is good, or the balance there is essential. But
Always.
there can be both, and there is both in the sense of, is it all meaningless? Yeah, probably. Do you have meaning? Are you special? Yeah, you are.
To the people in this present moment, and I mean this goes all the way back to metaphysics, epistemology, which is knowledge, the study or the theory and gaining of and the application of knowledge. Why are we seeking knowledge when we're just going to die? What is our purpose? And again, that itself, it has no definition. It's basically the gray area. Only there's polars, there's spectrums, there's gradations on the continuum of all this, but there's no answer. And for us to say that we have the answer, that's when you teeter on this line of self-entitlement, egotistical, narcissistic, seeking power only.
Right.
And I'm sure I could write a religion that I think, or whatever, something that I think is pure fact. I guarantee you, I put it out the internet, I'm going to have devout followers at some point.
Probably so.
And that should never happen, really, for anybody. I mean, it's one of those, like, the balance of good and evil. You need someone in control. You need someone with it. This is it's like mind blowing, because it's just level after level after level, and variables for days. And it's like you want someone with good integrity. You want someone with all of your ideal standards and goals to be in political office, when your goals and ideas of how things are supposed to be, it's shaped by how you're raised, and it's different for everyone. Everyone's had different experiences. Everyone has different, and it's flooded with everyone having a voice of social media and the internet. It's flooded, but it's like nobody ever stops and says, why does there have to be an answer? Why do I believe what I believe? Is this really important to why I'm really here? Which it's, I mean, for you and I, in opinion, I feel like I do what I do. We have things like these. We have podcasts. We have blogs. Just one, because it makes this being of whatever we are feel good. We enjoy it, but also I feel like we're passing a torch.
Right.
That these things will outlast, and even in for the rest of humanity, if it only hits one person and helps them change one thing that might make them happier for a split second, then this entire thing was worth it. From the whole spectrum. Right. And but again, it's like, for every one, there's probably going to be 10, 15, 20 that don't agree with half the stuff that we say. And that's fine. That does not bother me at all.
Well, we need that. We need that sort of conversation.
It's, like you said, it's universal. It applies to everything. We could go on and on for days. Right. But that's why you have philosophy and sociology. It's why you have these studies of macro, micro. Right. It's when you really even try to write down the fields of each, and then go, well, today I'm going to go into this. And then you get about halfway through the first one, you're like, I don't do this anymore. I don't do this anymore.
Super interesting, but I can't go any deeper.
It's like, it goes with everything. Yeah. And they all coincide, and they're all together, and it's just the nature of the universe.
Right. It's fractal. Each subject is fractal. So if you're going into psychology, that's such a huge general term. Open up a psychology textbooks. You got 20 chapters, and each one's a little different. You have developmental psychology, you have abnormal psychology, you have sexuality, you have all these different things, and then choose one of those. We'll go into abnormal. Then you have bipolar disorders, or you have chemical imbalances, or trauma, and then just keep going. And it's like you're expanding your screen on your iPhone. You just keep zooming in, and you zoom in and zoom in. And I think the only reason we can do that is, one, we have a very large human population that has access to information, technology, and the right tools and resources to do that sort of thing. Because, a few hundred years ago, we didn't have those access to the resources or the tools.
You have gangrene? Well, say goodbye to your leg.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yes. In the sense of, you had the capacity to do great things or to do absurd things. You can memorize Latin and read some old Latin text and translate them and add on to the knowledge of medical terminology. Or you can collect Pokemon cards. You can collect so many Pokemon cards that you have every card made on January 21st, 1999. You know, you can get that detailed. That is the human capacity that we have today. Times that by 7 billion, roughly, and you have Oculus Rift. You have the Hubble Space Telescope. You have SpaceX landing rockets. And the only way that we got there is climbing the ladder and on the backs of giants over and over and over again, to where, as Joe Rogan likes to say,
method.
Why is this loud? You know, we're at that point, and we've been at that point for quite a while, to where, how did we get here? Why is there a device in my pocket 24/7 that has access to everything the human race knows, basically, right? 99% of what the human race knows.
And why does this thing emit radiation that's someday going to kill me?
Yes.
We have all the information in the world, but
yes,
it still emits a harmful ray.
Yes, no matter, we are still Homo sapiens. We still have the biological drives, the strange human nature that we do strange things. Actually, Dad and I were talking about this the other day, where people will be super lazy at their house, right? They'll wake up late. They'll take a long shower, blah, blah. Oh, I'm late to work. They'll speed to work. By speeding, you are risking your life and the lives of others, to where if you would have just planned a little bit, the risk goes down. But you are willing to put your life on the line to be lazy and procrastinate. Those strange dichotomous behaviors that humans have define our species. They progress us to the highest levels and to the darkest depths of hell. That's why we are a fantastic and dynamic and fascinating creature.
And that's why fields like psychology are basically solely on interpretation and prior experience. How many mixed diagnoses are there out there in the world? It varies from shrink to shrink. It varies from doctor to doctor.
Right.
It varies in any field. I mean, you look at most fields, with the exception of, I don't know, quantum mechanics. Even as far as that goes, there's still some holes in there.
Yeah.
That are interpretive. So
how much of our world is based on theory? We just kind of,
most
theory just flies past people nowadays. They say, oh, the theory is, and they go, oh, the theory is that there was a Big Bang and everything came from that.
Or the theory.
Don't forget that.
This.
Yeah, don't
or
forget
the
that
theory
it's a
is
theory. There's
And
so much of our world is not explained in 100% truth. It's just like, this truth fits pretty well. We'll keep it there. And I think that is a basis, because humans love meaning.
They love meaning, symbolic, ceremonial, meaning assignment type things that give this present some validity.
So much so that we give meaning to things that have no meaning.
Completely tangible things.
Such as a scribble on a piece of paper. That is my name.
A piece of metal or rubber around your finger.
Right. Has symbol. In our society, you go anywhere else and it could have something completely different or nothing at all.
And again, there's no right way, there's no wrong way. And it's like, and then like if you go the opposite route with this and you go, why do we need certainty? Why do we need meaning? Why can't we just enjoy doing this, whatever we enjoy? Which again, you're going to have the freaks out there that enjoy some weird things, but it's for the most part human nature. As far as our biological sense, we're after a couple things. It's
the biological sense, we're after a couple things, but that, like I said earlier, the reductionism there is, we're not only biological creatures.
Yeah,
I would say we're spiritual creatures, and spiritual not in the sense of religious. Those are such loaded words and they're hard to talk about, but
interpretive. Yes.
There's something about calling something supernatural and not understanding that it's all natural.
We just don't have the understanding of it.
Yes, we separate the two worlds. We say God came down from the supernatural into the natural. He intervened. There is no cutoff between the two worlds. No. There's not two worlds. It's all natural. We just keep them separated. Things that we don't know how to explain, things we do know how to explain, or we would like to explain.
And then we have again, assignment meaning, narratives. We have this myopic tunnel vision that says, oh, I've heard this same narrative for so long in a very, very, I guess, what's the word? Like as a youth, you're very, just you're an open book. You're in a written book, and, and every thing that you remember, all of your experiences, they're written down in that book. And after a while, when you write them all, they bleed into every other page, and after a while, it's really tough to erase. So it becomes your meaning. It becomes who you are. And whenever you get that kind of absolutism, where it's my way or the highway, I lost track again where I was going, because this is such a quagmire.
I'm trying to hold on to
of contradictions and paradoxal parables.
We just cannonballed into the abyss.
We literally we're in limbo.
Cow.
We are in a limboed conversation right now. And all this is what we're talking. I wanted to discuss a little bit. I'll never forget. Would have been a year and a half ago. I was in California. I think it was in January. And I'll never forget one of the first things you told me when we got back to the apartment. You looked at me and you said, "Hey, have you seen True Detective?"
Yeah.
And then I said, "Never heard of it." Your eyes got wide, and you said, "Sit down." I'm like, okay. It's like you've done this. Like you're like, dude, hear about this? Hear about this?
Yeah.
But you slowed down. You said, "Have you ever seen True Detective?" And a simple no prompted you to prompt me to say, "You're going to need to sit down for this."
Yes.
And then you started to describe what was going on, and I honestly, when I watched it, I was like, "Oh, okay, that's what he was talking about."
Right.
Well, I watched it myself recently. I know it's been a while for you.
It has.
But good gracious.
Yes.
There is talking about layers.
Spoiler alerts are coming.
Yeah. Actually, there's a few like of Matthew McConaughey's characters quotes, because he's like the kind of he's definitely Sherlock Holmes-esque what they were going for as far as fictional characters, but it's just one of those, like, he's brilliant in his own way, but a self-described pessimist and a realist, which we deduce down to nihilism. And you brought up nihilism earlier, as far as from a philosophical sense. And after like talking about all of this, and just looking into some basic metaphysical and your studies of ontology, your theories of ontology and epistemology and existentialism. Sorry, you start to question, is being not numb but okay with uncertainty, okay with not having definition, and just kind of free flowing, finding something you like to do and spending your time doing that because you feel in whatever way that's going to, not even benefit others, but just keep you busy. But it happens to be like a noble pursuit or a valued pursuit or a needed part of the continuum that we're on, because this whole paradigm we occupy, it's not going anywhere. We can try to be social activists, we can try to change it, and in the whole grand scheme of things, when we finally get that bill signed, or we start waking up at 5:30 and working out, that is a small notch on the endless novel that is not even our own lives, but from the beginning of history to the end of history, even if that's even linear in a sense, if that's even measurable in our own capacity.
Listen to episode 2, SciFi And Friends, Spherical Time Theory by Adam Ayers.
I saw that actually when I was going through Facebook, and I saved it, and it's on my queue.
It's a fascinating podcast.
If you want to question something in a really positive way, I suggest listening to Adam Ayers speak about anything, really. Because he's done a lot of the work for you.
Yes.
He has beautiful metaphors, and the amount of knowledge and research and time that man has invested, one, is noble in itself, and two, should be utilized, should be just absorbed with every neuron firing in your brain. And I had the pleasure of hearing him speak, actually, like live at a service when I was in California, which was great. and had a pleasure of talking to him again when he was back for your wedding.
Yeah.
And just fantastic guy. And,
Yeah, fascinating.
And
guy.
that's why I've always loved Wes Davis's sermons as well, because I mean he's kind of like the Midwest version of Adam. He challenges you. He provides metaphors that we understand, but also it's not all just joy and hope.
Yeah,
it's these are the things you need to start questioning about yourself. I think it's Socrates. I can't teach anybody anything. All I can do is make them think. And that's where I think there's kind of a contrast. People are lazy by nature. Sometimes there's always the recessive trait that wins out.
Not often.
It's
but.
like, I don't want to sleep in. I want to wake up at 5:30 and work out.
Right.
But
back to True Detective.
I digress. It's and also if you happen to be religious, Adam's awesome with his messages.
Well, even if you're questioning
exactly
anything, I mean, those messages will help you through to make a decision one way or the other. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to say they're a little biased towards Christianity, but that's because Adam is a Christian and whatnot, but they're deep enough to where you can follow along and they will help you with the questions that you may be struggling with.
From what I took from it, it's that he's taken the old adage, to truly understand your own side, you have to truly understand your opposing view.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Instead of only reading the Bible and being that book slapping pastor that says this is everything factual, this is all of this stuff is etched in stone.
Right. The wine that Jesus,
and
or the water that wine was not real wine.
As far as I know, it might have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might have been. But to truly speak to someone and have them think for themselves instead of blindly follow, which I think is the true victory in all this. You have to understand the opposing side. You have to address that. You have to say, we have to be tolerant. We have to, we can individualize this over here. If we don't feel it, but to just say, nope, wrong, without even having a conversation or being able to have a conversation is, why do you feel like that? Why do you believe this? Were you raised this way? Were you raised this way? Without, I guess, making sure that you're representing, which is still impossible with everything, but trying to represent as many alternative views as possible. One, I think in the long run, not only strengthens your faith if you have faith, but also can make you more certain of what you do believe and whatever you happen to believe. And honestly make you feel okay about what you believe, not marginalized or ostracized or whatever euphemism you want to use.
It's like you went through a trial with what you believe. You go, I don't know where I sit on this, but I'm going to try this. So you put this belief out on the smashing board, and it lives, and it makes it through. And you go, oh, okay, it's stronger, and now you feel more in depth with that feeling and that belief.
Your conviction grows.
Right. The other direction is if you're in a position of Adam or whatnot, the sole difference is love, in the sense of shutting someone down, because you could come up to him and say, I believe in Zeus, and he might laugh a little bit, but yeah, other people might just turn you off completely and be like, well, it was not written in the Bible, blah, 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 blah.
Are you stupid?
Yeah, it's love. Adam might say that if he said you believe in Zeus. Probably not, but I've heard Adam say that before. But it's love. The difference is love. How, do you have love for this person that is struggling with this idea or this belief? And if you do, then you'll have patience with them, and you'll say, okay, I know where you are. I will try to help you come through these woods to this green pasture over here where I am. Or I'll come to the woods and get you. And that is tolerance. And Adam's got a really interesting quote on tolerance. Something about intolerance. Your intolerance to my intolerance is intolerant, or something like that. It's great. Those sorts of...
It's like a meta intolerance.
He's got a great sermon called I Don't Have Enough Faith to Be an Atheist. It's awesome. It's really good.
And I mean, it's a paradox in itself. It's
Life is a paradox.
Everything is a paradox.
We didn't get to talk about True Detective very much.
We need to quit going into. We need to quit talking about things with no definitive answers.
Ooh, man, I know we talked about it before the podcast. Like, let's talk about a little nihilism. Man, that was
got deep. Of course, that's us. Whenever we talk about anything, that's why I always yearn for these conversations, and the fact that we record them, I think, benefits someone somewhere.
Listening, I mean,
we could sit and talk for hours, but and again, you and me, we feel something from that. Right. But I think recording these are awesome.
Oh yeah, the benefit of recording. I mean, I've learned so much about communication itself. If you listen to the first few podcasts, I recommend you don't. They're really rough, but I just remember talking over people, not listening, especially to Casey because we were the two hosts. Mm-hmm. I was like, what is going on here? So learning from that third party perspective, I mean, was huge. It is huge. Now I hope to be a better listener, hope to be a better talker. Like when we had one of our first SciFi and Friends podcast with you, like episode 3 or 4. Yeah, I noticed that it was hard for us to continually talk on a long time span because my theory was because life is not like that. Life is tiny little snippets of conversation. Hardly do we ever get to look at someone in the eye and talk for 10 minutes straight on an idea that we have or a perspective or a thought. And it gets difficult because you get about 1 minute in and you think, I'm supposed to be interrupted by now. You know, someone's supposed to ask a question or something.
Please ask a question.
I even feel it right now. Like, where am I going with this? You know, so you can learn a lot by that third party perspective, which I know we're about to wrap up. But as far as VR, if you had like a third party camera, like a drone follow you around, or just a camera that filmed you doing your worst habits, I think you'd change. I think that would change you the quickest because you can visualize, you can see, I am doing that. It's hard for you to see that when you're in your own body and you're doing it because you're not present. You're not quite present. If you filmed yourself doing, say, overeating sugars at midnight, you see yourself, you see the fat rolls on your stomach, you see the grogginess in your face, and you go, God, that's me. That is me.
It's interesting you say that. Mm-hmm. I've never considered that. The fact, I mean, I'm sure the NSA can probably tell us a lot about what we're doing.
I would love to see my NSA file.
But
maybe not.
Well, in a sense, that's adding a whole new sensory.
Yes.
That's
right.
To change it to, because when we eat sugary foods, we wake up the next day, feel groggy.
Yep.
We can feel our digestive system kind of resist. Right. Because that's why we produce insulin. It's like, hey, we're good. We don't. Please stop.
Yeah.
You know, and then we feel the effects mentally.
Right.
We feel them, you know, maybe not through our eyes or ears, but I think adding just that like mirroring effect, like, hello.
Yes.
Like, because it's so tough without a mirror to really have perspective on ourselves and how we interact in the world. We see everybody through these two things up here.
Yes.
I think that could you imagine marketing with that? Sorry, my mind always goes there.
It's analogous to the sense of when you see yourself on camera, you feel a little uneasy. When you hear your voice on a podcast, it's a little uneasy, like, oh, that's me. Now, watch yourself do the thing you hate the most.
About yourself.
Now watch that. Do not look away and watch that. You don't tell me that that's the most motivating, inspiring thing ever. This is your rock bottom. You are jerking off to porn at midnight for the last 5 years or something, right? And you have to watch yourself do that. You're not going to do that anymore.
Hey, don't cringe out there.
If you don't want to, maybe you love watching porn, whatever. It's up to you. But if you have a habit that you want to take out, I think that
building habitual nature.
It is a separation. It's analogous once again to like a psychedelic, to where you're quote end quote out of body, and you're watching this figure, and you go, oh shit, that's me. Okay. I don't want to do that anymore. And in the sense, it could also benefit watching yourself kick some ass. If you had a camera follow you around to the gym and you watch yourself lift some weights and you go, dude, my arms look good. Mm-hmm. That's a building of beneficial self-respect and self-esteem. And we all know that this is all based on momentum. So if you get that, you get a little more confident. You hug your wife a little tighter. You know, you buy her some flowers. That's momentum, and it keeps going and going. And then you find yourself way, way far along, and you go, wow, how did I get here? Oh, all the way back there. That one choice that I made started the momentum.
Go to the archives.
Good or bad. Yeah, go to the archive. Good or bad. You could be at the bottom or the top.
And then even to the point we could volunteer that footage for younger generations, for teens. So instead of us just having a narrative, word of mouth from audio only, we're going then, let's go back. Do you see what happened here? I ran a red light.
Yes.
I crashed into someone. I killed them because I was texting and driving.
Right. You could do that. You could do the sense of CGI is so good and VR and AR is so good is that
you can put yourself in
yes,
a situation.
you can live a situation before it even happens. So say before you get your driver's license, go put that VR headset on and you're going to go kill someone in a car wreck. I mean, that's pretty intense. But if you somewhat lived it, it's going to imprint on you. And you're going to go, I'm not texting and driving because that was a terrible experience.
It's how beneficial it takes it beyond a level of just like a PSA on TV.
Right.
Of drinking and driving is bad or not wearing your seatbelt kills.
Right. Yeah. Those are just kind of words.
It's especially since your eyes and visual nature itself is the most potent.
Right.
There's something to be which that oh my gosh, it's insane.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you said, like if I see myself in somebody else's footage,
yes,
doing drugs,
yes,
or like snorting coke off a table, and SWAT bust in, and and then I'm under arrest. There's kids over here watching, terrified,
right?
And it happened. Right. It's real. It's not a dramatization. This isn't made for TV. This is what will happen if you continue this negative behavior. Right. And just like you said, when positive things and building positive habits that will not only benefit you in your health and how you feel, but also help build onto the legacy that of your life and add to the human race and the advancement and the involvement of all of this technology or whatever you decide to do or whatever you are interested in. I've never considered that. I'm kind of glad you said that because that's insane.
Listen to these podcasts with you. Any podcast that you do, listen and just critique yourself. Think, did I clearly state that idea good enough? Could I have said it better? Did I talk over him? Yeah, always, for sure. You can learn so much from that third person perspective. And I think that's why psychedelics are very beneficial, can be detrimental, but used properly can be beneficial because they kind of pull you out to a third party position to where getting high, because you're looking down in a way on your life or on your situation, and it gives you a new perspective. So not to advocate for psychedelics, but it is analogous to that.
Well, no, that's the reason I used a drug like cocaine in my example, because I advocate if it's beneficial for you, and it's difficult for me to even fathom somebody abusing it when it's used in a controlled environment, controlled manner where you're using it for self-reflection, self-involvement, meditation, just to see where you feel like you're going wrong and see where you can be better. To me, that's not causing you to be a pothead, lazy, whatever.
Right.
Unregulated coke.
Coke puts holes in your heart.
Just Google cocaine
side effects.
End user effects, and just go with me on this. But no, it's one of those things. But you grow up and you want to put a hex on psychedelics because they're illegal, because they're regulated in some states. Happily get a say in some states. And this is coming from someone who does not like to use psychedelics, who does not use psychedelics.
That is the key right there, to know yourself and to be okay with what that is. Are you or aren't you? Will you or will you not? And I think the way that you just voiced that to say, I'm all for it, do your thing. But for me personally, I don't think they're very beneficial. I think that is 100% exactly how it should be.
It's true.
Yes.
It's looking at myself. There's other forms of self-reflection.
There is.
I choose to do yoga and meditate. I wake up 2 hours before I have to go to work, before I have to leave in the morning, to meditate, to research, to feel like I'm bettering myself and making myself better at what I enjoy doing.
Right.
And for me to say that what you're doing to better yourself isn't right to do, it just goes back to our to our entire discussion.
Yes,
Which if you made it this far, hats off to you.
Bravo.
You deserve a medal. But just, I mean, know yourself, be okay with yourself, be okay with the opposing side.
Right.
As long as they're not putting you in danger, putting you in harm, what's the deal? And it's always that same. I'll end with this notation. It's you always hear that same thing when you put an opinion out there for something, and someone says, "Well," or something controversial.
Well,
it's like, "Well,
man.
would you want your child doing it?" And I answer with this: Would I want my child doing psychedelics after he or she was at a certain age and purchased it, used it legally, medicinally, as for his own benefit because it worked for him or her? Again, who am I to say that's the wrong way to better yourself? As long as they're not doing it 24/7 and walking around, just toasted all the time.
But if they are, it's not my prerogative to come down on you.
It just goes back. It's everybody makes their own mistakes.
I would not recommend that though.
No, I mean,
wouldn't recommend you wake up and drink a liter of Jack Daniels and go to work or go about your day.
Use everything in moderation,
including moderation.
Oscar Wilde. We dropped Socrates and Oscar Wilde today.
Boom.
Next time we'll do Robert Frost.
True detective.
But it's for sure. But and it goes for any situation. Anything that's controversial. Would you want your child going into a transgender or a bathroom with someone who identifies as a woman, but really it's a man?
Right.
I mean, I've never felt like I identified as a woman.
Right.
I can't put myself in his situation. I don't know what he's like. I can't say that I would enjoy my child going in there, but it's a child.
And that bleeds back to what we've talked about.
Yeah. Biology.
These are the issues we must talk about.
And those parenting instincts, it's like to a certain point when my child gets 18 and he or she uses the restroom that they identify with, that's on them. It's like you can only do so much. You can only, basic point. I don't want my child to feel pigeonholed into anything. I don't want them to feel, I guess as far as intolerable to anybody who sees or feels differently. I like them to be set in what they feel and think is right, and accept everybody else, despite despite sexual preference, despite how they identify, what they believe, or what they don't believe. The bottom line is there's no definition, there's no clear cut, there's no true absolute thing that we can say, yep, we went and checked and this is right, this is 100% correct as far as a existential portion of it.
I was gonna say like I got
this,
2 X chromosomes and a penis.
Like this is wood. I'm talking more of from the theory perspective, as that these things that are not definitive, they're just
back in the abyss.
And like it's a thing like you want like what you want to say, and the more you dive in, the more you realize that there's the spectrum, and there's one big ocean of gray area that you can never pinpoint.
And that's why these podcasts are beneficial, not only to hopefully people that listen, but to us, because it helps us hash out our ideas. It helps us to communicate to one another, to learn to communicate reasonably and effectively and logically, and also to kind of weed through some of these things. The topics that we talked about today, I'm not an expert in. I'm just doing the best I can. I'm swinging at all the balls that are being pitched to me now.
But you're trying.
We're trying.
You're having the conversation.
Right.
You're prompting yourself to think.
Right.
And that's the basis of consciousness. That's all we can do.
Right.
Is think, contemplate, interpret, and act.
And we just choose to record it and let other people hop on the ride that we're on.
So Pretty much. I mean, you can really insert your own dialogue in here about, I mean, anything. And if this opens your eyes to a different side of it, we did a good job.
Right. At the end of the day, all these issues, all these advancements, all these paradoxes and questions, it all bleeds down to one thing, and that's love. You love for the confused transgender male who feels like a female. Love for him. Acceptance, questionable. Love, though, at the end of the day, is what is most important.
And you cannot deny it. It's a very real feeling, emotion that you get. And to deny someone else's actual feelings, because you might not feel that way, but that's real to them.
Right.
And it might not rationalize as real to you, but it doesn't have to. But you love that person regardless. You love that thing regardless. You love what you do. You love as much as you can.
Right.
As much of what you do, who you meet, who you encounter as you can.
But do not be in denial about the reality of this reality, that there are terrorists. There are unstable, violent people. There are catastrophes that make no sense. Tornadoes that rip your seatbelt off and tear you to pieces on your graduation day. There are events, people, moments that do not make sense, do not fit the norm, do not conform to the ideas of love. It's the dichotomy. It's the paradox of this reality.
And if you take one thing from this, it's that nothing we talked about today gave an answer to anything.
But that's because
except for the marketing stuff.
The marketing. Yeah, Kaleb Alden knows all about that.
But again, that's
and True Detective's good. Those are the two
really good. But marketing in itself,
yes.
as it's changing, there's not one way to do anything.
Right. But once again, we keep quoting our previous conversations.
Always.
You have to evolve. You have to adapt continually. And like I said, it takes a lot of energy. It takes a lot of energy to question what you believe. You believe in Jesus? Well, I did when I was 5. Do you do now? Do you, after all these experiences? Well, you got to reevaluate. It takes energy.
I've got some questions.
It may be quick. It may be like, oh yeah, I'm good. Or it might be like, well, yeah, I do have some questions. But the important thing is that you continually push, continually question, continually grow.
Yeah. And if you have questions, to ask them.
Yes.
To introspectively, interpersonally, especially someone who you're choosing to live your life with. That's been a big thing recently.
Yeah.
So it's for somebody who's been married as well. I'm 100% positive. It's the communication aspect, asking questions, seeing where you guys stand, and then
big time
moving on. And again, it's a beautiful myriad of labyrinth style concepts and abstracts and aesthetics and all the beautiful things that the beautiful philosophers and thinkers and doers and builders of our times have experienced. And it's something that you just got to enjoy, love, and when it ends, it ends.
When it ends, it ends. And this is ending right now.
Absolutely.
We went an hour and 37. This is the earliest podcast I've done and the longest. Well, no, I take that back. The longest was Wes Warner. I think he went 2 hours, but
Wes has a lot to say. Though.
Yeah, a lot to say. Kaleb, congratulations on your wedding.
Thank you.
I am co-best man, so congratulations to me. No, looking forward to it.
Down.
It's next weekend, next Saturday.
6 days from now.
6 days from now, less than a week. If you're going, see you there. Should be fun. Kaleb, thanks for coming on SciFi and Friends.
I look forward to next time.
Absolutely. Good luck with all your marketing and your new job, your new marriage. Blessings on all that.
And good luck to you on your final year of school. And then I'll see you in Wichita.
Cool. Sounds good.
Content studio.
We'll see. Dropping that. All right. Thanks for listening to the SciFi and Friends podcast. We are legit. We're organized. We got a logo designed by Kelsey Seifert at curiousfox.com. She is a freelance graphic designer. Hit her up for some projects. She makes some really good shit. Check out the SciFi and Friends logo. I mean, she did that. We're on iTunes now. We're on Stitcher now. So please rate, leave reviews. Please, good reviews. If not, let us know what we're doing or what we could do better. The reviews will really help out. And if there's anyone you want to hear come on the podcast, shoot me a Facebook message. I'll see if I can get them on. If you want to come on the SciFi and Friends podcast, shoot me a message and I'll get you on.
It's awesome.
It's awesome. Okay, everyone, have a great week. Peace. 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 Peace.